bit of a gear review for you this time on hand warmers. Now there's this type, which is the solid fuel charcoal type, and this type, which is the Zippo Petrol hand warmer. So I'll just show you those, show you how they work, and then when I've done that, I've got a time-lapse video that I've done showing how long they last and how long they stay hot for, etc, etc. So after I've showed you that, I'll show you the time-lapse video so you can see how they both compare to each other. So you light the end of the charcoal, and what you really need to do with these is blow them. Until they're burning about a centimetre along. Otherwise they do have a habit of going out. So that just lies in the middle of there. Close it up, and that's your hand warmer ready to go. In a few minutes you should feel some heat starting to come through that. So that's the solid fuel one. I don't know if you can quite make it out there. It says warning, do not open when hot. But if you're very careful, if you keep it flat and just carefully open it, you can open it. Obviously watch which end of the charcoal you do. You can light both ends if you want to get more heat out of it, but obviously it'll last about half the time then. So you can take your charcoal out and put it out for later use if you wish. But be very careful if you're doing that. Keep it flat. Make sure it stays flat. Obviously that's a hot piece of charcoal. You don't want to be dropping it. So that's the charcoal one. "12 hours, but from the test I did with it, which I'll show you in a little while, it actually lasted about 22 hours. Now these use this type of fuel, lighter fluid. I've already filled this up, so that goes on. Then your light there. You can do this with an ordinary lighter, you don't need a turbo flame one. An ordinary one will do it. Just play it on there for a couple of minutes, well, a few seconds. I should start feeling some heat coming from that now. Yep. Pop the top on. Put it back in the bag. And that's it. You've got your hand warmer ready to go. I can already feel the heat coming through on this one. So that's the petrol one. Now for the time-lapse test that I've done, I've used a couple of these. I'll just show you what's what on this before I show you the time-lapse. That section there, that's the temperature. That section there is the stopwatch, and that section there is the time. They also show humidity on these as well. So that's what you're looking for on the time lapse, which is over about a 23-hour period. It doesn't last that long on the video, so don't worry about that. So that's what you're looking for on the time lapse video. I'll show you now. So that was the time lapse. Now that showed some quite substantial differences. The petrol one warmed up quicker than the charcoal one. The petrol one also stayed at a more steady temperature once it was running than the charcoal one. The charcoal one peaked at about 42 degrees, which would be quite hot for keeping in your pocket. The petrol one steadied out between 27 and 30, so it didn't get anywhere near as hot. Plenty hot enough to warm your fingers on a cold day, but not too hot and not as erratic on the temperature as the charcoal one. Pros and cons with the two. I would say the petrol one, it's more expensive to buy in the first place. Fuel for it is cheaper to buy. It lasts on one fill, you'll get about 22 hours out of that. Obviously that's under the conditions where I did the test, which was inside in the house, so that might change with your outdoors and whatnot, but comparing it with the test that I did, then this is a lot cheaper to run than the charcoal one. The charcoal one, you need these fuel sticks, which can be difficult to get hold of. You need to get to an outdoor shop or get them online. The petrol one, you can get these kinds of lighter fluid from any news agents, so getting replacement fuel for it's not going to be a problem. Possibly with the charcoal one you could use the charcoal to light a fire with if need be. You could maybe also use it to carry, if you got a charcoal stick out your fire, you can maybe transport it in that and use it to transport your fire. So you've got a means of lighting a fire with it. The petrol one you can't light a fire with. I've tried blowing it, seeing if I can get it to glow, but it doesn't seem to want to. The little jug that comes with the petrol one, that can be a little bit fiddly to use. It could also be quite easy to lose, but you don't really need that. You can fill it up directly with the lighter fluid can. But I would say if you fill it with the lighter fluid can, if you fill it right up, leave it a few minutes for the excess to evaporate away before you put it in your pocket or anything like that. using, I would say if you're keeping this in your pocket when it's not lit, after you've filled it, leave it a few minutes for the fuel to evaporate off, because from experience with the Zippo lighters, if you don't do that, you can end up with a chemical burn on your leg. It is painful if you put it in your trouser pocket. Yeah, so there's pros and cons with both of them. Once the charcoal's burnt out on the charcoal one, you just end up with a load of ash in there, which, if you're not careful, can go all over the place when you open it. The petrol one is clean. There's no residue left with that one, so that's a lot cleaner. So on the whole, I would say the petrol one is much better value for money. It's more expensive to buy it, but when you consider that every time you refill it after that, it's going to be cheaper and it lasts longer for each fill of fuel that you put in it. So that I would say the Zippo one is going to be a lot better value for money. The charcoal one, you could maybe light a fire with, maybe carry an ember out of your fire with it. So you know, they've both got the pros and cons. If you're not using a fire, then I would say the petrol one's going to be your better option. Like I say, more expensive to buy but cheaper to run. So I hope you found that interesting. If you're thinking of hand warmers, which are very useful, you know, and it's not particularly cold today, but you know, one of these things could mean the difference between losing your fingers with frostbite or not losing your fingers with frostbite. You know, keep them in your pocket, keep them inside your clothes, keep yourself warm. You know, they do make a big difference in cold weather. But there you go. Hope you found that useful. And I think my young friend over there is getting a little bit bored and ready to go home, so I'll catch you in the next video and say goodbye. Thanks very much for watching. One last thing before I go. They say in the instructions that with the Zippo one, that once it's lit, you can't put it out. You can put it out. If you have a tobacco tin, your standard size tobacco tin, you could even do it with a plastic bag. They don't get hot enough to burn a plastic bag, so you can just put it in a plastic bag. Pop it in the tin or the bag, close it up, starve it from oxygen, it'll go out. If you don't leave it too long before you use it again, you'll still have your fuel in there and you can light it up again. If you leave it too long, the fuel will evaporate and you won't be able to do it, but you can also put them out. It says in the instructions that you can.